Good morning. I'm here with Democrat candidate for U.S. Senator Phil Bredesen. And Phil, first off, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. I think probably most people know me as the governor for a couple terms, 2003 to 2011. Before that, I was mayor of Nashville for 8 years, and before that, really in the business world. I had started a company up, I guess, literally in my home, and grown it up to about 6,000 employees across the country, and a public company on the New York Stock Exchange. But my time as governor, I spent a lot of time up here and got to know the county, I think, very well, and I got to work with a number of the elected officials and the business leaders here, and it really feels good to be back again.
So what made you decide to run for U.S. Senate?
I had not planned to run for office again when I left, but when Bob Corker said that he was not going to run again, my wife and I talked about it, and I'm sure I got some calls from some people around the state, and I felt I had some unfinished business, I guess. I'd been getting more and more discouraged with what was going on in Washington, this sort of deepening partisanship and turning every issue into this deep partisan divide, and everybody on my side is right and everybody on the other side is wrong kind of attitude. That's not what the founders intended, and my whole style as governor had been to just try to get some things done, make some compromises and listen to a lot of different people and try to find some solutions and move them forward. I think Washington needs a dose of that, and why I want to go there is just that simple, to try to bring some common sense and some willingness to, get out of this partisan battle stuff on every issue that's up there, and start to try to make some progress.
What do you think is the biggest issue the United States is currently facing?
Well, I think the biggest issue is just this issue of we have this almost non-functioning federal government at the moment. We have huge issues out there in healthcare and immigration and other areas, and we're not making any progress on them because they just all turn into this partisan battleground where everybody's trying to get some electoral advantage or get reelected and instead of solving issues. I think we saw with this whole sort of Supreme Court nomination we just came through, just sort of how bad it gets. I think both Democrats and Republicans made complete fools out of themselves in the way that was handled, and I would just like to bring a little more, I guess, adult perspective or something to how these things are conducted, and I think with the experience that I gained as governor and as mayor, and putting together coalitions and moving stuff forward, I think I can help.
And narrowing the question down a bit, what do you think is the biggest issue that Tennessee is currently facing?
Well, Tennessee is facing a range of issues. One of them certainly is health care. And it's a different issue in different places. We have in some rural communities the closings of hospitals and the inability to get doctors, just access sorts of issues. For a lot of people, it's the cost of health care, and I hear mostly about cost of drugs, but there's plenty of other things out there. And then, of course, we have this opioid crisis that cuts across the state, and which is fairly serious. And it's fairly serious everywhere, but it's particularly serious here in northeast Tennessee. I think it really needs addressing very bad. It's been an issue in this campaign, because my opponent has done something to kind of make it harder to address the issue, and I certainly have talked about that. But I think there's just a lot of families being pulled apart, and certainly a lot of deaths now that have come from these overdoses, and we need to stop messing around and start dealing with the issue.
What are some of your plans if you are elected?
Well, as I said, I think healthcare is an important issue, and I certainly, because of my background in that field, and also all the work that I had to do as governor on the TennCare issue, which had gotten just totally out of control by the time I got into office. I really would like to work on healthcare, making sure especially that people have access to it, that you can get insurance even if you've got some condition, pre-existing condition. As a country, we should be way beyond somebody being locked out of health insurance because they've got cancer or they've got diabetes or they've got some condition that makes them ineligible. We've got to solve that problem.
And is there anything else you'd like to say before we go?
Well, simply that I think this campaign is has got some clear choices in it. I want to go up there, and there's been a lot of criticism from the other side, or I guess fear mongering that somehow I'm not going to be independent and just be a regular vote for Chuck Schumer or somebody in Washington. And I mean, nothing could be further from the case. I was very, very independent as governor, and probably made the parties in Washington equally unhappy with various kinds of decisions. I'm going up there because I want to change things, and that means exact opposite of just pulling the lever for some party all the time. But I think in this race, you've got two people in the race and two very different visions of that. And if somebody likes the way things are going in Washington and likes the sort of very strong partisanship and the lines in the sand, I'm not their guy. I mean, it's just they've got somebody else they can vote for. But if you want to try to move the ball, get some things done, and make some compromises to do it, then I am I'm very anxious. I would love to represent Tennessee again, and you've heard me on ads and things say I'm applying for the job, and I am. And furthermore, I think that I'm ready for it.
That was Phil Bredesen. He is running for U.S. Senator on the Democrat ticket.